the archetype is like a character within us. It lives and pulses and breathes within us. And the character, this archetype, that is shifting the paradigm of consciousness on the planet right now, that is taking us from one level of evolution to the next, it's something that's very familiar to all of us. It's in every major film you see coming out. It's in all the children's stories, the best ones that have been arising in the collective consciousness in the last few years. It's in Harry Potter. It's in Avatar. And it's in all the superhero movies. And we call this archetype the wounded healer. So the wounded healer is representing this part of us that feels this deep suffering, this part of us that has struggled, that has been challenged again and again, and it usually shows up first when we're in childhood. We call this the sacred wound because it really is the core or the essence of the hero's journey that we all go through. And part of the hero's journey is to battle the dangerous dragons of the ego. And so this sacred wound provides for us a choice. And it's the choice of how we're going to identify. Are we going to identify as separate, as victims, in an us and them world, in a world of projection, a world that a lot of our politics lives in? Or are we going to identify and do the magic and the mystical work like the ancient alchemists of old did and the fantastic wizards of our children's stories are doing today? And we're going to identify with the act of service, the opportunity to give back to others in that wounded place that we've suffered through. Because there is a gift in what appears to be the curse. And it's that level of insight, that depth of experience that we have gone through in our lives in that wounded place, that now we can offer back to others through counsel, through coaching, through mentorship, through teaching, and through guidance. And this becomes the higher octave of our life purpose here. And really, the holy grail of the quest that all of us are on right now, in our modern age, in the hero's journey of today, is to aspire to not just be this wounded healer, but to be the healed healer. To be the mentor, that coach, that consultant, that guide, who offers back their wisdom. That place which was suffering now becomes the gift and that sacred service that you can offer back to others. Life. He told me about this whole world that I never knew existed. An experience he had had in Israel, where he worked on what was called a kibbutz. This was kind of like a commune, a local community that grew their own food and had their own little industry, and they actually took in all these volunteers from around the world to help them do everything from pick avocados in the orchards to deliver baby chicks in the first moments of their existence. And so he said, hey, if you want to have some life experience, why don't you go work on a kibbutz? And for my little sheltered 19 years of life growing up in middle-class suburbia, this was an explosive idea for me, having never traveled outside of the country. And I could feel my heart, getting excited and the butterflies in my stomach at the possibilities. But I knew that I would have to let go of the expectations from my family, from myself, of what I was supposed to do, of letting go of that scholarship, that free ride, which hadn't been so free after all, because I felt chained. I felt imprisoned in that loneliness, in the confusion, and in the desire for a mission, for a purpose, for a life experience that was my own. When I thought about getting off that plane in Tel Aviv, the capital of Israel, I knew that once I set foot off that plane, that I would be victorious, that I would have won my own life. And it was actually in that moment that I became an entrepreneur. Because I was going to take the biggest risk I had ever taken in my life. I was going to jump across the world into the unknown. And I was going to have to really rely on myself. But there was nothing that thrilled me so much as the possibility of that. The possibility, the opportunity to find myself, to forge my own path, to shed myself of those expectations, and to let Spirit and the universe show me what it wanted me to become, in what ways I could serve the best, who I could meet on this pilgrimage into myself. And one of the greatest lessons it taught me, getting off that plane in Tel Aviv and opening up into a world of uncertainty and mystery and hope and possibility, was to befriend unpredictability as the catalyst for evolution and as the inspiration for growth.